Hello crafters, this is LaShawn from the Crafting Closet. I'm here with a couple tips for you today. But first I wanted to remind you about the two classes we have coming up on June 15th. We will be making this sign or something similar. It actually will have our logo, Be Creative, unless you purchase a different saying that you would like, and we can have that ready to put on there that day. But you will be making these plexi signs. Right now this class is on sale for I think $35. If not, I'm going to put up $35 before the end. You will be making a plexi see-through sign. Now this sign goes on my table when I go vending, so it's awesome. You can also mount it to your walls and have positive statements throughout, and as you see, it is see-through and it's not bending. See, nice and solid. So I'm going to put the link under this video afterwards on how to do that, to register for that class coming up. That again, that's June 15th. We also have a Learning to Sew class, and that class, you hear something bubbling in the background. I'll tell you about that in a minute. That class is our Learning to Sew class, and you will be making a pillowcase in that. So you can be a novice, you can be a beginner, you cannot know how to run a sewing machine at all and come to that class. That class gets you started in learning how to sew. It does the basics in some things, and you learn how to do a French hem and how to make a seamless pillowcase. You don't see any seams. So if you're into home decor, that's the class for you. If you wanted to learn just the beginning of sewing, that's the class for you. So I hope to see you on June 15th. Now I have some tips for you. You hear this bubbling in the background. That is my steamer. Sometimes I get asked to steam things for people because I've spent money on purchasing a steamer. Not everybody has one in their house, or they have a small one, and I have a larger one. You hear it bubbling, right? Well, I wanted to give you a few tips. If you, this is for even the most practical person in your home. If you've ever had an iron, now in my sewing room I always have a great weighted iron. Right now Shark doesn't pay me to say this, but they make a great, reasonable, nice heavy iron. And this particular Shark is great, but I'll tell you how I extend the life of my irons and my steamer. This steamer, I'm going to turn it off for a second so it doesn't keep bubbling. This steamer I've now had for about 15 years. The steamers, if you've read your directions, most of you probably haven't, it encourages you to use distilled water. I use distilled water in my irons and in my steamer. It extends the life of them. Why? And I want to get distilled water. There you go. Distilled water. This is baby distilled water, but either way, it's the same. They usually run between 87 cents to maybe $1. I iron a lot. When you're sewing, you iron a lot. So I actually go through about 1 gallon to 2 gallons a month. So it's $2, but it extends the life. If you've ever, after some time, you've used your iron and you started to get the brown spots when you hit the steam, or it starts leaking water and you get the brown spots. Well, the reason being is using tap water has minerals and corrosives that eventually break down the inside or start to let rust build in the water tanks on your irons or your steamers. Well, putting distilled water in there, what it is all those minerals have been boiled out, removed, and now you have just the water vapor. So all of those things are out of there. Now, another thing, I iron a lot, so my irons aren't stored for a month with water just sitting, but I do dump out all of the water out of my steamer after I use it, because it might be a month or so before I use it again. So water doesn't sit in there and create condensation or create rust, and then all of that rust is now in your water, and when you iron your nice whites, now you have rust stains on them. So distilled water is tip number 1 in any of your ironing, any of your irons. And like I said, that is good for your home irons as well. Don't feel like just because you don't sew, you don't need to use distilled water. It's gonna help. If you've invested in a good iron, get distilled water. And if you iron maybe once or twice a month, pour the water out after you iron. Tip number 2. All of our crafters have times where you have stuff just going through your head, boom, boom, boom. It's firing off, and you never have time to get to it, or you don't remember. Boom. You see this? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? LaShawn's vision book. I usually keep this near me no matter what, and when I'm in my creative space. This is my temporary creative space. My office space is different than my creative space. My creative space allows me to be as creative as I want without the limitations of, oh, people are going to come in here and meet in my office and things like that. So my office space is a little bit different than my creative space. My creative space allows me to be creative. I encourage you, if you are capable of it, have you a space that you can just put things on the wall, put fabric here or there that you can try out things. But my mind will start going on a project, and then I'll have to sketch it out. So I'll let you see. There's something that I'm working on in my head, one of the things that I've worked on, and this is for something else. You'll see it in the future, but you see the sketches. So I don't just do sewing. As you see, we're doing other things, but this is one of my personal projects that I'm working on in building this table. And as you can see, I sketch out the ideas, and then I even write crazy notes to myself in here, and it helps me to stay on track. So if I'm ever at a point where I'm fresh out of ideas, I just go right to my vision pad and see where, when I wasn't having a block, I kind of can go right through and oh, okay, let's try this. Let me start with this. So those are 2 excellent tips to help you continue to be creative. Again, I encourage you to get a good weighted iron. If you've ever had one of the times where your stuff doesn't seem to, and you're pressing down, this iron does it. I don't have to do a lot of pressing down. And distilled water and a vision book, a vision pad to just write out ideas. Those things help you so much. So just keep in mind distilled water, iron, and vision pad. So come be creative with us on June 15th. We have 2 classes. If you want to learn how to paint or make your own signage, come. We have a hand lettering class that we hope to have coming up soon. I just need to continue to work with the instructor to make sure we have it all together. And we also have our sewing pillowcase class coming up June 15th. So we have this sign class and our pillowcase sewing 101. That's part of our sewing 101 series. Come to it. And we have some stuff coming up in July. So I won't post what July schedule is just yet, but we are adding a Friday class coming in July. Most of our classes are offered virtually as well. You can purchase them anytime. We now are working on packaging so that you can just purchase everything that you would get in the in-class, you get in our Be Creative box. If you purchase the project, you get all of the supplies already cut. You get the hands-on instructional video, hands-on written directions. So if you were purchasing this top zip clutch class, we did this back in May or April, and you see it's fully lined. If you purchase that, Basically, what you get is everything you need to get that project done. Already cut, ready. See the zipper, lining, fabric, interface. You would get your pens, thread, everything you need to get this project complete, including hands-on instructions, video and written, and you would receive it in the mail, ready to work on. Okay, we have our top zip clutch, we have our pocket tote, and we will have our pillowcase, clasp. All of those you can purchase virtually. Those are ready to purchase, and they ship out once a month, usually around the 20th of each month. We do them after we've done a class. So you will be able to purchase them virtually. That means you can take the class over and over again. If you had a group that you wanted to do the class, let us know, and you can purchase all the fabric for the group and the video, and you'll get everything ready. Again, this is LaShawn from the Crafting Closet, and I encourage you to be creative. Add something that you see as a spice of color to an outfit, change a flower arrangement. Whatever it is, just be creative, because you were created by a creator to create. So I encourage you to be creative, and hopefully I will see you in one of our classes in the near future.